Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the last class, I forgot to record the lecture. So today, today I'm not going to repeat the last class, whatever we have learned. So today we will start from the asymptotic notations. Okay. Now, before we introduce the asymptotic notations, I just recall uh, some of the essential things that we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so in the last class we are talking about the performance of the algorithms. If we have a problem P and if we have n number of solutions for that problem P, then we need to compare the n number of solutions to the problem P. Okay, and so that we can select or we can determine the efficient form of the solution to the problem. So essentially we use the asymptotic notation. So the asymptotic notations are the mathematical tools. So this mathematical tool can be used to compare the performance of the alternative algorithms. Now, what we call alternative algorithms? So as I said that if we have a problem P, and for that problem, if we have n number of solutions, then to compare the n number of solutions with each other, so after comparison, we will select an efficient solution or efficient algorithm, and that efficient algorithm will be then converted into a program, and that program will be executed. So that means when we compare the alternative algorithms, we need to compare the alternative algorithms in terms of the growth rate of the running time. Okay, so order of growth rate of the running time of an algorithm can be represented by the asymptotic notations. So that is why the asymptotic notations are very much useful mathematical tools to compare the alternative algorithms. Okay, so that means order of growth of the running time of any algorithm that can be represented by asymptotic notations uh, found to be a useful tool for for comparing the performance of the alternative algorithms. Okay, so therefore we can say the order of growth of the running time of an algorithm gives a simple characterization of the algorithm's efficiency, and also allows us to compare the relative performance of alternative algorithms. So when we look at the input sizes large enough to make only the order of growth of the running time relevant, we are studying the from a small size of input. Okay, and we can keep on increasing the input data, and when we will keep on increasing the time, the order of growth rate of the running time will also be increased, and for that there will be a change in the function. So that function which is represented in terms of the running time or in terms of the time. Okay, and from that function we can estimate the time complexity of the algorithms. So here asymptotic notation plays a vital role to represent the running time or the order of the growth rate of the running time of the algorithm in terms of some function. So function may be linear function, function may be constant function, function may be quadratic function may be cubic function. Okay, function may be function may be quadratic function. So or logarithmic function. So these types of functions we can obtain or we can determine from the order of growth rate of the function in terms of time. So here we basically interested to have the asymptotic efficiency of the algorithms. how asymptotic notations are found to be useful to determine the efficiency of the algorithm. So we are concerned with how the running time of an algorithm increases with the size of the input in the limit. Okay, so as the size of the input increases without bound, so usually an algorithm that is asymptotically more efficient will be the best choice for all but very small inputs. Okay. Now we can have a number of asymptotic notations which we can use to determine the function in terms of order of growth rate of running time. The first asymptotic notation that we are going to talk about is big O notation. Okay, so when we have only an asymptotic upper bound, we can use the big O notation. Okay, so for a given function gn, we denote by order of gn. So O of g of n is called order of gn. Okay, so we denote by order of gn the set of functions. So here big O of g of n represent the set of functions, and this set of functions can be determined from a set of alternative algorithms. Okay, so here gn is a function and order of gn is a class of functions or set of functions. Okay, so here we can write order of gn equal to f of n such that there exists positive constant c and n0 such that 0 less than equals to fn less than equals to cgn for all n greater than equals to n0. That means if we can consider the graph on the left hand side, here we can see that there is a function fn. Okay, and this function is determined from some algorithm. So an algorithm generates this function fn in terms of the running time t. So here x-axis represented by the input, x-axis represent the input, and y-axis represent the time. So trade-off between input and the time gives us these functions fn and cgn. So if we consider another function cgn, which is found to be greater than that of fn after some point n0 over n. That means if we keep on increasing the input, we can determine another function cgn after some point n0, and this cgn function is found to be greater than that of fn, where fn is also determined from an algorithm. Here cgn is another function and fn is another function. So here we can say fn equals to order of gn. So here order of gn is the class of functions or set of functions. So here we are writing order of gn equals to fn. When we can write that? When there exists a positive constant c and n0 such that 0 less than equals to fn less than equals to cgn. That means fn less than equals to cgn for all n greater than equals to n0. That means after some point n0 on input, so there will be a function cgn which is found to be greater than equals to fn. So here big O notation gives an upper bound on a function. Okay, so to within a constant factor. So here the constant factor is yeah, c and n0 are constant, positive constant. So for all values of n at and to the right of n0, the value of function fn is on or below cgn. That means for all values of n at and to the right of n0, the value of the function fn will be found to be less than that of cgn. So that means fn will be upper bounded by cgn. So here in the other way we can say that fn is upper bounded by cgn. So therefore we can write fn equals to order of gn to indicate that the function fn is a member of set order of gn. That means Here, as I said, that order of Gn or big O of Gn is a collection, is a set of functions or class of functions, and Fn is one of the member of the set order of Gn. So at some point n0, Cgn is so after n0, Cgn is found to be upper bound. Cgn is found to be greater than that of Fn, or other way, will be said uh, Fn will be said is bounded to by function Cgn. Okay, so that means if we consider a function if we consider a function Fn equals to 3n plus 2 and Gn equals to n, and then we are saying that Fn is a uh, order of Gn. That means Fn is found to be less than equals to Cgn. So we have to prove this. How to prove this? Fn is given. Fn is determined as 3n plus 2. Okay, and Gn is given as n. So these two functions are given, and then we are saying that Fn will be equal to order of Gn. That means Fn will be found to be less than equals to Cgn for all n greater than equals to n0 and positive constant Cn n0. That means from these two functions, we have to determine the value of the positive constant Cn n. Okay. Now for Cn n, this will satisfy. That means the condition Fn less than equals to Cgn will be satisfied. So whenever such functions for Fn and Cgn will be given to us, then we will determine the Cn n0, okay, or Cn n. So for that positive constant Cn n0, function Fn will be found to be Cgn. That means this big O notation gives the asymptotic upper bound, or big O notation represent the asymptotic upper bounds. Asymptotic upper bounds means, so which type of complexity it represent? Big O notation: best case time complexity, worst case time complexity, or average case time complexity. Big O notation gives the upper bound. Any idea? That means big O notation gives the worst case time complexity. Worst case time complexity means that upper bound means the, so maximum time which is needed by an algorithm. So that can be represented by this notation. That means after that point, so so that is the maximum. That means if we determine the upper bound using this asymptotic notation big O, then we can say that after this point, so there will be no increase of the time. Okay, so time will not be increased after that. So running time will not be increased. This is the maximum limit. So up to this, all the similar algorithms, all the alternative algorithms, that is represented by order of Gn. So since Fn is a member of order of Gn, that is the Fn is a member of set of functions order of Gn. So therefore, all the alternative algorithms which gives the collection, which gives the set of functions order of Gn. So all these algorithms have the upper limit or the maximum limit of the time. That means after the, this is the maximum limit of the execution time. So after that the algorithm will not proceed. That means this is the maximum limit, and up to this the algorithm will be executed. Okay, so asymptotic notation big O gives the upper bound of the worst case time complexity. The next asymptotic notation is the big omega notation. Okay, so here big omega notation provides an asymptotic lower bound. So asymptotic lower bounds generally gives the best case time complexity. Okay, that means the minimum time which is required by minimum time to execute an algorithm gives by this big omega notation. So big omega notation provides an asymptotic lower bound. So for a given function gn, we denote by omega of gn, so the set of functions. So here omega of gn is the set of functions or class of functions which are determined from the alternative algorithms. Okay, so here we can write omega of gn equals to fn such that there exists positive constant cn n0 such that cgn less than equals to fn for all n greater than equals to n0. Now, if we see the graph on the left hand side, here we can see that here fn is a function. Okay, so this fn is determined. This fn is determined from an algorithm which gives the order of growth of the running time of the algorithm. Okay, from which the function fn is determined for the function fn is determined as the time function. Okay, from which we can estimate the time of the algorithm. Now another function is there, cgn, which is found to be less than that of fn after some point n0 over n. Okay, so here n is the input to the algorithm, and t is the time which is represented by y-axis. So here we are writing omega of gn equals to fn such that there exists positive constant cn n0 such that cgn less than equals to fn. That means cgn will be found to be less than equals to fn for all n greater than equals to n0. So here omega notation, big omega notation gives an lower bound. Lower bound means that fn function is lower bounded by cgn. That is why it is called the big omega notation gives an lower bound on a function to within a constant factor. Okay. Now, if we consider if we consider a function fn where fn is found to be equal to uh, big omega big omega of gn. Since big omega gn is a class of functions or set of functions, therefore for all values of n at n0 or to the right of n0, the value of the function fn will be found to be greater than equals to cgn. Okay, that means fn will be found above, on or above cgn. That is why fn is called lower bounded by function cgn. Okay, and similarly, if we can consider two functions fn and gn, and fn is given by 3n plus 2. Okay, and gn is given by n. Now to prove that fn equals to big omega of gn, or fn or gn less than equals to fn, to prove this, so we have to determine c and the value of the positive constant c and n. Okay, so or we can say n0 on n. So we have to determine the c and n0. For c and n0, for some value of c and n0 or for c and n, uh, this relation will be satisfied. That means the cgn less than equals to fn for all n greater than equals to n0. So whatever the function will be given, if both the functions try to satisfy this relation, then we have to determine the values of the positive constant c and n0 such that this relation cgn, that means 0 less than equals to cgn less than equals to fn, will be satisfied for all n greater than equals to n0 values. Okay. So essentially here fn is a member of big omega of gn. So big omega of gn is a class of functions or set of functions, and this asymptotic notation big omega gives the lower bound. So By this notation, we can have the best case time complexity. That means the minimum time which is required by the algorithm can be represented by this big omega notation. Now we can have the another asymptotic notation which is known as the big theta notation. So for a given function gn, suppose here we have a function gn, and we denote theta gn that gives the set of functions by the following relation. Now we can write theta gn equals to fn such that there exist positive constant c1, c2, and n0, such that 0 less than equals to c1 gn less than equals to fn less than equals to c2 gn. That means here fn will be found to be greater than equals to c1 gn and will be found less than equal to c2 gn for all values of n greater than equals to n0. Okay. Now, if we carefully look at the graph which is given on the left hand side, then we can see that there is a function fn, and this function is determined from an algorithm, and we have some other alternatives algorithm from where we can determine two other functions with positive constants c1 and c2. That means c1 gn is another function and c2 gn is another function. Now at some point n0, so after this point, the function c1 gn is found to be less than that of function fn, and function c2 gn is found to be greater than that of function fn. So that means fn is lower bounded by c1 gn, upper bounded by c2 gn. Okay. So this if we can have this relation c1 gn less than equals to fn less than equals to c2 gn, then this relation the represent the function fn which is lower bounded by c1 gn and upper bounded by c2 gn for all values of n greater than equals to n0. So here function fn belongs to the set theta big theta of gn if there exists positive constant c1 and c2, such that it can be sandwiched between c1 gn and c2 gn for sufficiently large n. Okay. So here since theta of gn is a set, therefore we could write fn belongs to theta of gn. So since fn is a member of this set of functions or class of functions, therefore we can write fn belongs to theta of gn,